Trading photos.
Stay tuned, Trading Photos.
We will be tonight talking to Donna Farnham, the brainchild behind BedStuyP0p-Up, as well as some of the incredible filmmakers that are being screened at this event.
Oh man, sorry guys. Jeez. Usually it's a major school.
She wanted to do this Navy thing,
Welcome to the show. We're here at BedStuyP0p-Up. I'm here with writer, producer, actor, director of Easter Sunday, R.H. Bless. The film was fantastic, first of all.
Thank you.
I need to know what initially got you into filmmaking. What made you want to do it?
Just being a storyteller, really. I come from a musical background, hip-hop artist. You know, a lot of hip-hop is about storytelling, so it's just a natural progression to get into film. From music, I progressed into directing music videos into film, and just, you know, that was always my ulterior plan to get into film, and that's just how it happened, you know.
A lot of your music was in this movie as well, which I didn't realize at first from hearing your voice. But then the music is very good as well. How did that start?
That was actually strategically planned and intentional in order to cut through the red tape of having to get clearances from other artists that were, you know, I was canvassing for music. We had a lot of music on deck, ready to go. You know, we stayed recording, we stayed productive, so we just matched scenes to what we had that was available to us, and thankfully everything matched and fit perfectly. You know.
That's great. You got great music in there, and you didn't get sued by Sony, so that's a smart move, man. So now, what was the inspiration for this particular piece? What was your connection to it?
My connection to it is based on a true story, dating back to my childhood, my early teens actually. The characters depicted in the film are representative of friends of mine and a close cousin of mine who actually, in an incident that happened on Easter Sunday 1988, where their lives came into the balance, more or less, and luckily some of them made it out. Unfortunately, some didn't. It was a big thing that affected my community. It made headline news here in New York back in '88. And it's a learning tool now, because a lot of those issues that took place on that train in that era back then are still happening now. So it's just something that we wanted to bring light upon, show a positive outcome, try to show a positive outcome from it, a message to it, and make sense of the madness that took place, you know?
Yeah, that's a very interesting dynamic that you established. It's very clear when somebody's telling a story and you go, oh, this person's telling a story, as opposed to this is something that is very personal to them. Is that something that you draw inspiration from generally when you make stories in your music and movies?
Yeah, I mean, because in my opinion, I was never much great of a storyteller in terms of making things up out of the blue. You know, everything that I do, even musically, has to come from the heart, come from realness, come from actual life. You know, so all I do is tell life as it is, and for me, that's the easiest way to do. You know, it's
incredibly effective. I mean, I could tell just from the response from people that when the movie culminated in that, you know, I don't want to give too much away, but you could tell that the climax of the film wasn't coming from a story made up out of the blue, which is something very interesting that I've noticed about your style of filmmaking. Now, how there were a couple of different stories inside the film of the process of the making of the film. Can you go through some of those?
Which one in particular?
Well, first off, the train scenes. How did those manifest? How did you end up certain scenes that are not easy for independent filmmakers to shoot, which I think would be interesting for some independents watching this to know how you are able to make that happen?
That train scene came out of, that was a blessing. I had a friend of mine who was a cop who actually used to patrol in that area of Brooklyn, Franklin Avenue Shuttle train station, who spoke to some officers that were there working that night that we needed, told them, you know, her friend is coming through, they're going to be shooting, we're going to be doing this from such and such time, leave us alone. And that's what they did, they left us alone. We shot from about midnight to 4 in the morning. Even some of the patrons that got on the train, they saw what we were doing, they moved to the side, or they just didn't get on the train and let us do what we were doing. And it just happened. It was lined up. It was a tough scene. It was probably the toughest scene to shoot. It was freezing cold, and we had to rehearse actually on site. We never did a rehearsal for that scene. We rehearsed on site for about an hour. So that was about 4 hours of riding back and forth from Franklin Avenue to Prospect Park, back and forth about maybe 7, 8 times to get the entire scene shot. And it was hard, it was crazy, it was frustrating, it was tiring, but we got it done. You know?
Wow, that is an incredible story within an incredible story. Yeah. So thank you for being here with us, RH Bless. Great work. Incredible Easter Sunday that you can watch it. What's the link for that?
Available online right now for a limited time. You can catch it at youtube.com /BeFamousTV. There it is, free of charge. Check it out while it's there right now. Leave your comments on it.
RH Bless, a true independent mastermind.
Brooklyn.
Doing it for all you at home. Thank you.
Stay tuned. Same channel, same time. Subscribe to Trading Photos. Trading Photos, yeah.
We are here with Tauheed Russell, the filmmaking mastermind behind Imagination. Tauheed, what initially got you into filmmaking?
Originally, I have this favorite show. It's called Scrubs. I don't know if you've heard of it, but every episode I watch, I learn something. There's a message behind it, and I love the way they created that show, and that's what got me inspired.
And what was the message behind Imagination?
The message behind Imagination, I don't know if you saw it. It's right at the end. I say, like, hold on to your imagination. It's like we see children and they could have fun with, like, just their hands creating something out of nothing, and they purely use their imagination and just have fun, and they're so happy. And you see adults, they're stressed out every day, and you know, they become a little more cynical. And so I feel like if adults kind of went back into their childhood and grabbed their imagination, they would be a little happier.
It seems as if this concept has a personal implication on your life. Is there maybe an instance where trying to pull the imagination away from a child has influenced you as a person or as a filmmaker?
It has, because my personal story is that I've gone through many majors in college. So I went from accounting to math to all these different things, trying to be practical, trying to find a practical job after college. But I realized, you know, I didn't want to do any of that. I just wanted to do or follow my dreams, which is filmmaking, and that's what I ended up doing, and just switching to film.
That's incredible. Well, for our sake, please keep following your dream, because that film was fascinating. So, Tauheed, how can people contact you?
I actually have a Facebook page. It's called facebook.com/RussellVideos. It's my last name with videos. And then I also have a YouTube, which is also youtube.com/RussellVideos.
Okay. So that is facebook.com/RASEL videos and youtube.com/RASEL videos. You can check him out there. You can see some more of his great work, and you should definitely keep track of this great young budding filmmaker. I'm Mark Danram here at BedStuyP0p-Up with the incredible Zandir Santos, director, writer of Ambiguous. Zandir, what initially got you into filmmaking?
I got into filmmaking just because, you know, originally I had an idea for a film and I started writing it, and when I wrote it I tried to kind of give it to people to direct, and they didn't want to do it. And then I was like, you know what, I might as well learn how to direct myself and make my own film instead of just having a script sit on the shelf. So that's how it started.
Look, if you want something done right, can't trust other people.
I mean, you got a point. You got a point.
So that was a smart move. I mean, the film came out very nice. Now, what was the inspiration for this particular piece?
This project actually, you know, just you know, living in East New York, just some of the things that I see going on. Just, you know, in America in general, you know, with the whole profiling of you know, African Americans and things like that. So that's why I wanted to do the film and just be able to put a message out there that was relevant. And I find a lot of people saying it was so timely with everything that's going on today as well.
It's extremely relevant. It's eerily reminiscent of a lot of the events that have been going on lately. What are your thoughts on police brutality, especially in New York City, where we've been facing it pretty rough for the past 2 decades?
Yeah, you know, it's something that, you know, that we need to do more about to stop it. I've been a great supporter of the, you know, of the protests and things like that. I believe it's a good thing that we're doing, just raising that awareness, even though it's something that's been going for, like you said, 20, 30, 40, it's been going, I mean, you can go back to when Africans were brought to this country. That's how long it's been going on. And it's definitely something, and I like the fact that the film highlights the issue. That's how concerned I am about it. So whatever I could do to, you know, raise awareness, I'm seeking to do it.
No, and it doesn't just scratch the surface. It definitely gets underneath a lot of the ideology and a lot of the emotions and feelings of where these events come from. Now, what is in the future for you filmmaking?
Right now we're working on my 3rd short film. You know, you got to be on the lookout for it. It's still a very deep and profound subject matter. It has to do with relationship based, another African American couple just going through some hard times, and I think it's gonna be phenomenal. Just you know, learning from these first 2 short films I did, and just studying other people like Bless and other people's films, and you know, just I'm really honing it in, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's called Subsequent Occurrences. It should be out April, May of this year. Yeah.
Subsequent Occurrences. Yeah. Keep an eye out for it. I look forward to anything that you have coming out in the future. Zandir Santos, where can people find you, Zandir?
Right now, you know, we just recently, you know, I say we, but it's pretty much me. So I'm on Facebook right now as ZANDIR Santos. You can find me on Facebook. We can hook up. I got links there for the movie for people who want to view it. So feel free to reach me that way. Perfect.
Zandir, thank you so much for being with us tonight, and thank you for screening this movie here. Zandir Santos, Ambiguous, here at BedStuyP0p-Up. Thank you for watching.
Hey everybody, this is your girl, Eva Lord Savior, self-happiness mentor from MyAngelicLife.com. Remember to create your happiness like it's nobody's business, honey.
Welcome back. We're here at BedStuyP0p-Up. I'm here with filmmaker Shei Adebanjo. Shei, that is the director of Trans Lives Matter, an incredible film about oppression and human rights. Shei, what was your inspiration to become a filmmaker?
My inspiration to become a filmmaker was really looking at how to use art for social justice, and knowing that it impacts a larger audience than just doing like protests will do in the neighborhood, because you can get it to, like, you know, beyond different borders internationally. And so that really inspired me, because I've always been someone who wants to create a world that's just for different types of folks, especially folks of color, queer people, women of color, trans and gender nonconforming folks of color. So I'm like, the tool that I can use was filmmaking. So that was my inspiration.
That's fantastic. I mean, we live in a world where that's definitely necessary. And it's good to see people thinking outside the box for how do we actually spread the message and spread the ideas. Now, when did these ideas and these thoughts start to get into your head? How old were you? And was there anything in particular that made you start thinking about this?
I've always been someone who's been around, like, how do I make the world better since I was younger. But in terms of like social justice and filmmaking, around like 1997 I got into it. I was working at a queer youth center, and I was doing a lot of work with homeless youth and like queer youth of color, and just really looking at like how this media can be a tool to like impact your personal life and also the world. And so it started bridging my ideologies around human rights and art making together, like, in the late 90s, and stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So it was the 90s where you started to bridge the gap between your ideas and your craft.
Yes.
Now, were there any events in your life that pushed you towards the ideas of social justice? As a kid, did you witness anything?
I'm sure being an immigrant to this country, you know, it gets your mind thinking in a certain way. But it's interesting just talking to my mom. She was like, since I've been young, I've always had a voice. But coming here, I'm Nigerian, I'm Yoruba, and so immigrating to Brooklyn when I was younger and seeing just the divide and the oppression that happens around like Black North Americans and immigrants, especially Africans, you know, I'm like, I come from Nigeria, and so being called an African booty scratcher and what it feels like to wear clothes made no sense to me, because I'm like, what are you talking about? And where are you getting these ideas? So I'm sure like being an immigrant and the xenophobia I experienced, you know, when I came here impacted just like more of a lust for social justice and being like, no, we shouldn't talk to people like that. And why do we think that about ourselves, right? You know, so breaking that conversation in terms of white supremacy and how we internalize it, and then we start treating each other badly, and then you know, the institutions don't have to do it anymore, right? You know, so yeah.
So instead of turning that criticism inward, like, you know, the systematic elements try to make you do, you instead started to criticize outward and figure out what was going on in your environment. That's fascinating. Now, how did that follow you outside of the 90s? Where did it lead you from that point?
In terms of my social justice work, it led me to do a lot of organizing in California, in New York City, and Minnesota, and then like I ran a nonprofit that looked at bridging spirituality and social justice. And then as I got older and just looking at like, okay, how do I start making sure I'm incorporating my art for activism and the type of campaign work or healing work that I was doing. And so I'll say pretty much in the last 3 years, I've been more focused in terms of like my craft as a filmmaker or a media artist to really bridge the artistic impact and like creating social justice and different change in the world. And so that's brought me here to make Trans Lives Matter and to make other works that looks at like we're talking about ourselves and the types of world we want to create versus having other people tell our own stories. So yeah, that's been the trajectory. So I've gone from being an executive director to getting a master's degree to, you know, just being an emerging filmmaker to make sure that I get these stories out that I don't see that impact me either personally or the communities that I'm involved in, because we know Hollywood and the Oscars isn't doing that. So we got to make sure that we have our own voices to tell our own stories and create the type of world and communities that we need, right? And so that's been my trajectory.
I really appreciate that. It's nice to see people out there telling stories that you know otherwise you would not hear. The mainstream would not shed light on these issues, and it's great to see you out there actually making progress happen and spreading your voice and your ideas that are definitely important for the world to hear. Shay, you've been doing great work. You need to tell people where they can find you so they can keep track of all this great progress that you're making.
Thank you. People can find me. I have a website. It's my name, www.seyyadebanjo.com. I have a Tumblr page called NaijaBoy.tumblr.com. That's NaijaBoy.tumbr.com. And also you can find me on Facebook at Tengade Productions. So those are the best way to reach me. And if you just Google my name, I'll come up on Vimeo, and you can also find me that way. So it would be good to really have people at the different film screenings that happens, because it's not just watching the films, but it's looking at creating a community dialogue, and we could talk about the different steps we can do in our own lives if we're not out in the streets to impact and change, you know, because it starts with the first step, and so there has to be different ways of talking about how we can make change happen. And so that's what I get excited about with the community screenings and the dialogues or screenings at universities that happen.
Well, I can definitely say from watching the film, this is an apt first step for us to be taking, and thank you so much for screening it here and being a part of this. Sey Adebanjo, director of Trans Lives Matter, an incredible film that you should all check out.
So it would be unlikely to leave behind 92 million for now. I'll leave them out.
Quite popular with the patrons.
What do you mean?
With anybody I know.
So that leaves.
Hi, I'm Mark Danarim here at BedStuyP0p-Up with Trading Photos. I'm right now standing with the brains behind BedStuyP0p-Up, Donna Farnham. Donna, how are you?
Hi, thank you very much.
So, Donna, what made you want to do BedStuyP0p-Up?
Wow, long story. I don't know how much time I have with you guys, but basically, BedStuyP0p-Up is an end market company that focuses on independent filmmakers and their portfolios. We are here to help to develop, expose, and possibly outreach to new audiences. So we do that by popping up in different venues in and around Bed-Stuy. We're based in Bedford-Stuyvesant because that's where I live at. And we're accommodated by wonderful venues like Amarachi Prime, as well as other places like bars, restaurants, cafes, even outdoor spaces, community gardens even, when the weather permits. Yeah.
That's great. Now, it seems as if the films that were screened here today had a similar theme to them as far as what's going on in certain communities. Was that calculated? Did you guys do that on purpose?
It's funny that you should say that. That happened sort of by serendipity, you know, depending on what we get to curate and then to develop programming for. We just felt that a nice mix of different genres and styles of filmmaking and topics and subjects would really be a good launch for us here at Amarachi Prime.
That's great. Yeah, it definitely seemed like you guys, stylistically, things were ever changing. However, it highlighted certain aspects of the films as a whole. Highlighted certain aspects of living in New York itself that I think are not, you don't see as much in the mainstream. Did you guys do that on purpose?
That's an interesting take. As a matter of fact, I appreciate your seeing that, because what we bring to the screen is partially, of course, some of what we get in from our filmmakers and what they have to offer, but as well as it's important for us that the audience takes away their own perspectives about our materials. So that's pretty awesome that you saw that.
That's fantastic. Now, what is next for BedStuyP0p-Up? Where do you guys go from here?
Wow, we're popping up in different venues. We're already developing programming for February, Black History Month, and also in March for Women's History, so that we're now curating films by and about women filmmakers that we'd like to show in our venues throughout Bed-Stuy and different names. Yeah.
That's great. So, Donna, when exactly did BedStuyP0p-Up start?
We're a relatively new end market company, and we started last summer in August of 2014.
Very nice.
Yeah, I'm Glenn Usher. I'm the original writer, director, editor for Easter Sunday. R.H. Bless took all my shine. Block Exchange Films and Entertainment.
Wonderful.
Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, Glenn Usher. He's the sound man, the brainchild behind everything we do. Donna,
wonderful.
Where can people keep track of the progress for BedStuyP0p-Up? Where can they find you?
Okay, well, we have a website, and folks can go to www.nycpopupcinema.com, or they can email me directly at mediamouse.1@gmail.com.
Perfect. Donna, thank you so much for putting this incredible event on. Thank you for being here with us tonight. From Trading Photos, this is Mark Danaram here at BedStuyP0p-Up. Thank you.